Hello class. In this first video I just wanted to kind of let you see me, see what I look like. Not much, sorry, it's very average. Just get a chance to see me so you can kind of put a name with a face and an upper body, I guess, a torso and arms, and kind of walk through the syllabus and kind of introduce you to me and my background and so forth as kind of a preparation for the course itself and kind of how I see the course going forward. So yeah, let's just start with the syllabus and go from there. So I'll be looking at my phone as I'm doing this so that I'm sure I'm looking at the syllabus and capturing everything that I want to capture on it, okay? Intro to Ethics, I hope you know that's what you signed up for. The textbook is this one, Ethical Choices, edited by Berner and Raley. Actually not edited by, second edition, written by Berner and Raley. It's good, it's good. The chapters are reasonable length, the chapters that we're going to cover. Reasonable length, do a reasonably good job of at least hitting the highlights of the ethical theories that we're going to cover, and then class then and discussions and so forth will be a digging deeper to really understand the theory so that we can then see, okay, is this a theory that is good to use? Can we apply this thing, right? Or what are some strengths and weaknesses to this theory, okay? So we will be using the book as early as, probably need it by next week. We'll probably start referencing the book and having you read chapters from the book, okay? Until then, it's a lot of background stuff, but starting next week, we'll probably be diving into the book. 2 internet resources are on there: Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy. I'm sure there are tons of other websites out there. These are the 2 that I know and the 2 that I trust. The Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy is really written more for not the introductory student, but the little bit further along student. It's easy to really get mixed up in fall down some rabbit holes and so forth there. Very detailed, very in-depth, probably a bit more than you'll need for this class. The Internet Encyclopedia of Philosophy, much more for introductory students or for folks who are just kind of passing through, hey, I heard this term, what's that about, kind of thing. But hopefully, my goal is that between the videos, between the discussion boards, between the readings and so forth, that you won't need those. If you need those, then either you have failed because you haven't asked me a question that you needed information on, or I have failed because I haven't explained it well enough. And I'll only know if I've explained it well enough if you tell me that I haven't explained it well enough, right? So a lot of this is going to fall on you to be in contact with me about things that are unclear, right? And I do, obviously I don't have office hours because I don't have an office right now, but I will check my email first thing in the morning, probably about 7 o'clock or so, and then in the evenings, probably around 8 or 9 o'clock, maybe slightly later. I do want you to succeed. I do want to be in contact. I'm thinking about possibly having like Zoom office hours where you can Zoom in and we can chat if you need to. At this point, I don't plan on having any Blackboard Collaborate meetings or anything along those lines, but if the course is going along and we feel like that's necessary, then we'll adjust accordingly and do that. I'm hopeful between the videos and the discussion boards that things will be clear, that the understanding will be there, but we'll see. I mean, we're just kind of taking it as we go, right? So there's my teaching philosophy if you care, the institutional learning goals for this course. You can read those if you're interested. And the important part, I think, is the program of study part, right? So what's the workload going to be like? What are the expectations? How do I get assessed in this class? So every Monday and Wednesday is when this class should be meeting in person if we were in person, right? We're obviously not in person. So by Monday morning, when this class is supposed to meet, and by Wednesday morning, when this class is supposed to meet, I expect to have a video available to you to view, okay? In addition, then I will also have a forum that I've created on the discussion board in Blackboard. I expect that you watch the video, and, well, I expect that you do the reading that I've assigned, be thinking about that, watch the video for further explanation to the reading that you've read, and then contribute to the discussion board. The discussion board is how I will keep track not only of attendance, but also of class participation. Class participation is 15% of the overall grade. So that means then that it's not just a checking in on the question or something along those lines. It's a contributing to the form. It's a contributing to the discussion. It's a thinking about the question or questions and then replying and responding thoughtfully and demonstrating that you've thought about it rather than just typed the first thing that came to your mind just to send something off and get credit, right? That it should be more than just a sentence or two usually. It should be, maybe a paragraph or so about the question that I'm asking you to think about. And I want it to kind of be ongoing, so I don't want everyone to have their own separate comment to mine. I want them to be thinking about what I've asked, and then also what their classmates have said about the question that I've asked as well, so that it really is as close as possible a recreation of a classroom discussion about this stuff, right? Especially with regards to ethics, especially as we get into the applied ethics. It's really meant to be discussed, right? It's meant to be talked about from various perspectives and multiple viewpoints, right? And so this course is not going to be an introduction to Shrapi's ethics. If I've done my job well, at the end of the course, you still won't know what Shrapi thinks about any of this. That instead it'll be an introduction to the theories that have been around for quite some time in the field of ethics. These theories which compete with one another, they disagree, but they also agree in many ways. And not only that, but then also, how can I apply those to today, right? Do these theories hold up to the issues and concerns of today? Can I apply them to various ethical situations and dilemmas and scenarios or not? And really beyond that is, what aspects of these theories should I then apply to my own life that I can then use? And so in keeping with that, then the exams for this course, they're going to be essays, because I haven't come up with a good true false multiple choice assessment of whether you actually understand the theories. Whenever we're speaking about theories, then that requires you to think about them in your own way so that you understand them, so that you can then explain them to somebody else. That's true understanding, is when you can explain it to someone else. Albert Einstein once said, if you can't explain it to an elementary schooler, then you don't understand it yourself. That you should be able to boil it down and break it down and explain it in a way that anyone can understand it. So that's the way I want you to approach these exams, is as if you're explaining it to somebody who isn't in the course, who isn't watching these videos, who isn't doing the reading, but they're like, hey, I heard something about Aristotle's ethics. What do you know about that? And you're like, I'm glad you asked. Here's this paper about it. And at the end of that paper, then, you should be able to have a discussion about what you think Aristotle would say to do in a situation, or something along those lines. It should be clear to your friend, oh, that's kind of what Aristotle's about. I get that. Okay. And so there'll be essays. I'll give you about a week to work on them, right? I don't know what your lives are like. I don't know what other responsibilities you have. So I want to give you time to allocate your time wisely, but also give you time to think about what it is I'm asking you to do on the exams, right? So there again, just like the discussion boards, it's not, let me just do something real quick. Let me do this the night before and turn something in. No. The questions I'm asking you on these exams and so forth, and what I'm asking you to do, is going to require time and thought and effort. Again, not research. These are not research projects. These are probably having to reread the text a couple of times, maybe watching the videos again, or parts of the video again, maybe going back to those discussion board questions, right, to kind of get as full a picture as possible. And again, you're doing a lot of thinking, more so than writing even. You're spending a lot of the time thinking through these things so that you can then, when you're ready, sit down and articulate it better. And it's probably going to take some time to articulate as well. So you're articulating one point, and then you take some time to think about that, and oh no, maybe I could phrase that a little bit better. Or, oh wait, since I'm writing about this other part, that clarifies this part, let me go back and change that a little bit, or clarify that a little bit, right? So it's a process, right? It's not just a, let's produce something. It's not about there is an end product, but it's as much about the process to get to the end product as it is the end product, right? The end product is just the only part that I see. It's the only part that I assess, right? And so we'll have 3 exams, and the first 2 will be comparing and contrasting some of the theories that we're talking about, okay, to make sure that you understand them, that you can compare and contrast them, and then that you can weigh in and assess them as well. Like, these are some strengths of this one, these are some strengths of this one, these are some weaknesses here, and all of that really is an anticipation of the 3rd exam, which is you articulating your own ethical theory. So just like we'll be going through about 5 or 6 historical ethical theories and diving in and understanding and critiquing and supporting and so on and so forth, how it is that you go about living your life, that's an ethical theory too. And so this isn't a matter of changing it to match something we're talking about or anything along those lines. This is just an exercise in you seeing laid out on paper how it is that you make decisions with regards to ethics. And so what I'm grading then is not, oh wow, your ethical theory sucks. No. What I'm grading is, how well have you articulated yours? Just like when we walk through the theories themselves, the other theories, these historical theories, right? How well have they articulated these points? Are these points applicable? Do they still fit today in today's issues? I'll be thinking the same thing with regards to yours. How well have you articulated it? Where are the holes? Have you attempted to fill those holes? Do you see your own inconsistencies, right? Can I, at the end of this, do I know what decision you would make given a random ethical dilemma? Okay, but I'll talk way more about exams as we get closer to exam time. We're weeks away from those, right? So 15% each of the 3 exams, 15% class participation. So notice, these discussion board participations are as significant as an exam. They count equal to, right? And so the expectation, again, is that you will respond to the Monday discussion prior to class on Wednesday, and you'll respond to the Wednesday discussions prior to the class the following Monday, right? And again, I expect you to comment on them, right? This is standing in for class, right? These videos and that discussion board, that's class, right? I ask that you do the readings. The schedule on the syllabus is very, very tentative, but I have been doing this quite some time, so it's probably pretty close to accurate. But it's tentative because I don't know exactly how deep I may need to go with some of this stuff or how quickly I can gloss over some other stuff. If you're understanding it really well, and again, I'll know that based on the discussion boards and so forth, if you're understanding it really well, then we don't need to spend quite as much time on it because you understand it already. If you're struggling with some stuff, or you want to dig a little bit deeper, or you're not quite sure how this fits with that, then I'll take a little more time and discuss that a little bit more, and so we'll get a little bit slowed down. No big deal. There's plenty of time, right? I'm not going to rush just to cover what we need to cover. I'm going to take our time so that we cover the stuff that we want to cover well, okay? The first half of the course, give or take, will be the theories. The second half of the course then will be much more applied. And so there's a few topics that I've chosen that speak to some issues of today, I think. And so when we get to that portion, it'll be not just the ethical theories we already talked about, but it also will be a you weighing in with your ethical theory as well, what you think about this situation, right? And that's what'll come out through the discussion boards. So those 4 things, those are 15% each, that's 60%. 20% is the final exam. The final exam will be due, as indicated on your syllabus when the final exam is due. So that's 20%. It's going to be encapsulating the entire course. Again, it's still an essay. Part of it will be a brief recapitulation of your ethical theory, and then I have subsequent questions that I want you to apply that ethical theory to. The final 20% then is an ethics journal. So each week, starting next week on Mondays, I'll give you a journal topic. The journal topic is something we will not discuss in class. The journal topic is for you to think about. And the journal topic will be a dilemma or an ethical situation or scenario. And what I want you to do is I want you to articulate, defend both positions. I want you to defend so I'll use an example. And so this is from your discussion board for today. This is not a journal topic, not a journal entry. I'm just using this as an example. Grandma and the ugly sweater. So if that were a journal topic, which it is not, but if it were, then you would say, of course you should tell Grandma the truth about the sweater, and here are all of the reasons why. And I do mean all the reasons why. Again, this is not research, but this is you thinking about, why would someone hold that position? And it's more than just a sentence or two. It's probably, again, going to be a pretty chunky paragraph at least. Here are all the reasons why you should, of course, tell Grandma the truth. Then you're going to turn around in the same journal entry, take the opposing position. No, you should lie to Grandma about the sweater, and here are all of the reasons why. Just telling me why you should do this thing and why you should do this thing. And they're two contrary things. Because part of the attempt with this journal is I want you to be able to think yourself into the opposing position, because you don't hold both of these. One of these you think is right and the other one you think is wrong. But I want you to think about the one that you think is wrong, because I want you to see that even though you disagree, there is legitimacy to that position, that there are legitimate reasons for holding that side to be true, even though you don't think it is. Okay? So again, that's why I don't want research. I want this. This is the research I want for those. You're bright enough, you're smart enough to think about, from multiple perspectives, these dilemmas and situations and scenarios. Okay? Then at the end, so you're articulating, yes, you should, no, you shouldn't, and then at the end, then very briefly, and I agree with whichever position you agree with. Okay? But you've already given me the reasons why. And so these journals, then you'll have one a week, and I'm not taking these each week. Right? You're accumulating these in some way, some digital format, such that at the end of the term you can then give all of them to me at once. Okay? Now, that means you could put them all off until the end. I would strongly recommend against that, because at that point you'll have a whole lot of other stuff going on as well, and it's going to be really tough to spend the time that I want you to spend on each of these if you're rushing to try to get all of them done at once. Okay? So I really highly suggest doing them each week. That's why I assign them weekly. Like, hey, this week, think about and write about this one. And so on Monday you're thinking about it. Maybe, Tuesday you write the thing or something along those lines. Then you're ready for the next week. And so you're on pace instead of falling behind. Right? Falling behind is going to be horrible, because it's going to be really tough, if it's at all possible, to catch up. Right? And with the discussion board, you kind of can't. Like, if you submit to the discussion board on Thursday, the discussion board from Monday, that doesn't count, right? Because it's basically like you missed class, right? The Monday discussions should be commented on prior to the Wednesday, and the Wednesdays you have until the following Monday. Okay. So that's the final 20%, this ethics journal. Okay. And usually that's the thing there's the most questions about, because it's a little bit unusual. Then the tentative course schedule, right? And so for background, well, you should probably learn about me too, I guess. So here's a little bit about me. David Schrappe, PhD in philosophy, born and raised in Columbus, product of the Columbus City school system. So not all of us end up dead or in jail, even though that's what the news tries to tell you. Right? Graduated quite some time ago now. I'm a little bit older than I act. Probably about as old as I look, though. Went to a teeny college in the middle of Kentucky for my undergraduate degree. Thought I was going to be a math major, and then found philosophy and fell in love with it instead. Switched majors from math to philosophy my sophomore year. And this teeny college in Kentucky is a lot like Kenyon College here in Ohio, except it's about half the price because it's in Kentucky instead of Ohio. So went there with a great experience. Met a lady who's now my wife. We've been married for, it'll be 20 years in November. Engaged for a year before that, dated for a year before that. So we've been together for 22 years now, which is more than half of each of our lives. So she graduated a year before me from undergraduate. Her degrees are in Spanish and French. She's a linguist primarily. Won Latin competitions in high school. Anyway, she's awesome. So graduated a year before me. She did the working world thing, and then I graduated. I did the 40-hour week cubicle thing, and then she decided to go to graduate school to get a master's degree in mental health counseling. So now she's a mental health counselor. After she got her degree, then I got my master's degree in philosophy up at Kent State University. Then did the PhD work in Southern Illinois University in Carbondale, Illinois. And been back in Columbus for over a decade now. So I've been teaching at Columbus State, teaching Intro to Ethics and Intro to Philosophy for, this makes the beginning of my 11th year at Columbus State. So at this point I should have pretty good idea as to what I'm doing with this course, which is why I say the schedule is tentative, but it's probably pretty close. Okay. I think what else? We have 3 children, 14-year-old daughter, freshman at Cause this year. Middle child, Joshua, who's in middle school, 6th grader this year. And then youngest, Samantha, who just turned 5, who will be in kindergarten this year. Let's see, we have 2 cats, because my mental health counselor wife convinced me that there'll be good mental health for everyone. I didn't grow up with pets. I was fine not having pets. And later in this course, we'll talk about the ethics of actually having pets, which was part of my argument as well, but that's down the road a few weeks. And my kids did the research, because my kids are as nerdy and weird and goofy as their mother and I are, and knew that, look, on average, people who have pets are happier, self-reportedly happier than people who do not have pets. So look, Dad, we got to get one so that we're happier. In a few weeks, we'll talk about internal happiness, external happiness, but okay, fine, whatever. So we have 2 cats now, long story short. Vehicles, boring, because, you know, I'm an adjunct for one thing, so I'm not flush with cash. And 2, I have 3 kids, and sometimes they're friends to cart around. Like a McLaren Spider isn't really a practical car for me, right? Nor can I tool around on a moped. What I have is a gray Ford Taurus, because almost everyone in the United States has a gray Ford Taurus. Have you seen them? They're everywhere. There's usually 5 or 6 in every parking lot I'm in. I've literally walked up to the wrong gray Ford Taurus before and put my key in the door to see if it would open. It's insane. And we have a green, I say green, my family says it's blue, so a greenish blue, bluish green Sienna minivan, because yeah, we have a minivan. Okay. Let's see, live in Columbus. My mom lives just a few blocks away. Still very close to her. Oh, I should mention that part as well. One, I'm an only child, so I have no siblings. My sister is the oldest of 3, so I've married into siblings. My sister-in-law lives in the neighborhood as well, not too far away. I watch her nephew every day after school. I watch her son, which would be my nephew. Her nephew is my son, whom I, of course, watch every day. So a very integral part of our lives. Her husband's in the military, so he's off elsewhere right now. But my mother, a single-parent family. I haven't seen my dad since I was about 3. Really have no memory of him because that was quite some time ago now. So, single-parent family, first-generation college student. My mom went to college after I did, so I started to college, and then she was home alone, so she decided to start taking some courses at Columbus State. So she has her associates. But, you know, weird timing thing. I'm first-generation college student. My mom is second-generation college student. And maybe that's some of your situations as well, so I don't know. So if, here again, if, you know, beyond the coursework, if you have questions or concerns or whatever about navigating, you know, being a first-generation college student, or coming from a single-parent family and being a college student, or something along those lines, or multiple responsibilities because you got a family too, like I'm here to help you be the best student that you can be and be the best person that you can be, whether that has to do with intro to ethics or not. My kids are always frequently making fun of me because no matter what happens around the house, it seems I say, oh, I talked about that in class today, I talked about that in class today. Because I'm very intentional about making this stuff, I mean, ethics especially, but intro to philosophy as well, ethics especially, not purely theoretical, right? This is about how to live life. And so in my classes, I try as much as possible to talk about life, right? That's really the goal of all of this. That's the goal of the humanities. That's the goal of college. That's the goal of all of it, is life. What's up with that? How about some help? And so maybe an ethical theory from Aristotle will be helpful. If so, great. If not, then we'll learn about it, we'll understand it, but we'll also know, well, I can't really use that. Okay, then don't. And those of you who want to use it. Great, sweet, right? Or Kant or Hume or whoever it is we're going to talk about, whatever theories we talk about, right? Understand them, be able to explain them, right? That's the course. But beyond the course with life, if it doesn't match with you, it doesn't mesh with you, then it doesn't mesh with you and you ditch it, right? Can you still talk about Aristotle? Sure. Do you have to live life like Aristotle would? Nope. No. Might you want to? Sure, I don't know. That's on you, right? And so there again, this isn't an introduction to Shrapi. It's an introduction to ethics and ethical theories and ethical applications, right? I'm trying to think if there's anything else important to know about me at this point. Yeah. My wife's a mental health counselor. Oh, my best friend from college is also a psychologist. My best friend from high school, also in the mental health field. Yeah. Sure says nothing at all about me. Many people are going into those fields, right? Yeah. I'm not a case study or anything for anybody. I don't think. Let's see, what else? I don't have a favorite color. I mean, I have some colors I like a little bit less than other colors, I guess. Yellow, not really a huge fan of in general. Sorry, yellow, just not my thing. Purple's nice. I kind of like purple. What else? I'm trying to think of other random get-to-know-you icebreaker type questions that students have asked me in the past. Can't think of any. But if you have some, feel free to email me. Let's see. Oh, and as far as emails go too, not every email requires a response from me necessarily. And if there's a question that you're asking me, clearly I need to respond. However, if you're just giving me information, like, hey, I won't be in class such and such day, okay. I don't really know what you're looking for as a response from me. Are you just wanting me to type the letters okay to acknowledge my receipt of your information? In which case, then, should you then okay my okay so that you know, so that I know that you know that it just gets complicated. If there's questions, I'll answer them. If it's just information, I may not necessarily reply, right? I may, if it requires a reply or it requires more information or something, but not every email necessarily requires a response. And as I said, I'm not married to my emails. I'll check them once in the morning, once at night. That's about it. I have plenty of other things going on in my life rather than be ruled by these machines. These machines are tools and they have their place. And they're good for things like this when we can't be in person for various reasons. But I mean, my phone's gone off 4 times just since I've been recording this. I'm not picking up to check on it because it can wait, right? Let's see, what else? I think that's about it for Who Am I? Yeah. And so for today, well, for Wednesday, do the discussion board. And by doing the discussion board, what I mean is it's just thinking this time, okay? It's just thinking. So there's no reply, no response, nothing along those lines. Just thinking about. And then for Wednesday, then I'll have another video where I'll kind of walk through a thought experiment from an ethical perspective and so forth. Give a little bit of background as to where we're starting with regards to ethics. Do another discussion board, and we'll just kind of go from there. See you next time.